So we will start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Uto Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankaja Nabhaya Namo Pankaja Malini Namo Pankaja Netraya Namaste Pankajangrahe. Hare Krishna. So today I will try to take up that subject which Param Dayalu Prabhu has given me, and the title is Qualification of Suta Goswami. And that shloka, I will first read that shloka, try to understand, let us try to understand that shloka. Then we'll go to the purport given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The shloka goes like this. Shloka number 6 of first canto, first chapter. Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for displaying that shloka. Tvaya khalu puranani setihasani chanagha akhyatanyat pradhitani dharmak shastrani yanyuta. Very important shloka, word to word. Actually, this is spoken by all the sages of Naimisharanya. Rishaya Ucha. Rishaya, the sages, Ucha said, Tvaya, by you, Khalu, undoubtedly, Puranani, the supplements to the Vedas with illustrative narratives. Sa Itihasani, along with the histories, Cha and Anagha, freed from all vices. Adhyatani, Akhyatani, explained. Api, although. Adhitani, well read. Dharma Shastrani, scriptures giving right directions to progressive life. Yani, all these, Uta said. Translation. The sages said, respected Suta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all the scriptures famous for religious life, and in the Puranas and the histories as well, for you have gone through them under proper guidance and also explained them. Purport. A Goswami, or the bona fide representative of Sri Vyasdev, must be free from all kinds of vices. The four major vices of Kali Yuga are illicit connection with women, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts. A Goswami must be free from all these vices before he can dare sit on the Vyasasan. No one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasasan who is not spotless in character and who is not freed from the above mentioned vices. He not only should be freed from all such vices, but must also be well versed in all revealed scriptures or in the Vedas. The Puranas are also parts of the Vedas, and histories like the Mahabharata or Ramayana, are also parts of the Vedas. The Acharya or the Goswami must be well acquainted with all these literatures. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Shravanam and explaining is called Kirtanam. The two processes of Shravanam and Kirtanam are of primary importance to progressive spiritual life. Only one who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject matter, the subject. Om Jnana Tirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamyaham Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Samjeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanas Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhantanch. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namo, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatadesha Tarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivas, Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today, actually, we are. I'm still in the primary stage. I'm just starting and trying to read Bhagavatam. So I said I will not go more deeper in Bhagavatam, but just start the beginning of Bhagavatam itself. So I've taken this shloka number 6 of first canto, first chapter, shloka number 6. And Prabhupada's purpose, as usual, they are very strong, they are very clear, they are very, with a very deep meaning, and they are fit to be inculcated in our life, in day-to-day life, followed in day-to-day life. And one thing is very sure, that we have to be very serious when we study Bhagavatam. That seriousness is still not there with me. So I don't feel very very safe when so many pure devotees are present here today, and speaking in front of them is like just a small candle showing it to the sun. It's of no use. But still, because some senior devotees, Achyut Gopal Prabhu and Param Dayalu Prabhu, they have told me to try and speak something. So I'm just trying to do a little bit of some seva. So this is a shloka in the beginning of Bhagavatam, and the setting scene is in Naimisharanya, a very holy place in India. Actually, in India, every place is a holy place because some or the other pastimes of the Lord has taken place. And it is said that every few kilometers, there is a holy place in India. This case may not be there in other parts of the world, but at least in India, we know that every place is connected to the Supreme Lord. So it becomes a very holy place. And especially this Naimisharanyam, is very holy, because there was an assembly of sages. Uh, and in this assembly, Suta Goswami presided. How he presided and all those things, it is there in the shloka. What happened is that they have come to the assembly at the junction of, it says, Sandhya of Kali Yuga, and just beginning of Kali Yuga. So in this Kali Yuga, all the characters are affected. All the purity, the symptoms of purity, and all those characters are really very difficult to be maintained in Kali Yuga. So they are very eager. This our rishis and the munis, they are very eager to discuss on the subject matter which will help us, the fallen souls in Kali Yuga, to uh, at least remember Krishna, remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and progress in spiritual life. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, other than Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad, and other scriptural studies, there is no other means by which we can attain the lotus feet of the Lord. So these are the only means where we can take shelter and progress in our spiritual life. So that's what the rishis, the saintly souls, they are thinking that we should ask a person of Suta Goswami's stature to preside over this and tell us what is good for us in this Kali Yuga. So they say, Rishaya Ucha, they said, Tvaya Kulu Puranani Se Itihasani Chanagha. So there are certain qualities that Suta Goswami possessed. And that's why all the sages, they wanted Suta Goswami to discuss this matter in detail and guide them. In the purport Prabhupada has given, he directly hits the 4 regulative principles and discusses them in detail. Why Prabhupada goes directly to the 4 regulative principles? We all know that 4 regulative principles. He directly mentions here, the first line itself, the Goswami or the bona fide representative of Sri Vyasadeva must be free from all kinds of vices. The 4 major vices of the Kali Yuga are illicit connection with women, that is other than married women, married couples, animal slaughter, intoxication, and speculative gambling of all sorts. These are the 4 regulative principles of religion. So many times it so happens that when we mention these principles, these 4 regulative principles to the non-devotees or other than who are not connected to the spiritual life, who have not taken to spiritual path, they say, Baba, what is this? How can you do all these things? And why it is so important? Why it is so necessary? It's not necessary. I just worship God, worship Krishna, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I will get everything, because he is the supreme supplier of everything. That is what their connection with the Supreme Lord. Connection is meant only for the supply of things which is lacking in his life. So he doesn't understand so many things. But Prabhupada has made things very clear in the purports, in his books, in his literature that he has given to us to follow. There was an incident when Prabhupada went to the West and he tried to preach this uh, timeless wisdom of the Indian subcontinent, the Vedic literature, to the Western people. He never compromised on certain basic principles of Vedic wisdom. For example, these four regulative principles, he never compromised. When he was uh, trying to register ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, in America, in the West, he had to take the help of many people. And one of them was an advocate who was drafting the basics of this registration uh, matters. So that advocate told Prabhupada, of course, that time they were saying Swamiji, not Prabhupada. They were mostly referring him to as Swamiji. So he said, Swamiji, see these four rules which you are mentioning every time in your papers, in your talks, in your literature, in your books. These people are not going to listen to that. These people are, we are already breaking these principles fully here, and nobody is going to listen to you. If you want to really spread your message, spread your ISKCON organization here in the West, you should not mention about this. Prabhupada said, he said, no, you should drop them. You should not mention all these regulative principles in this document. So Prabhupada said, no, I'm very clear about it. Even if nobody listens to these regulative principles, these are the basic things which I have come here to teach the West, and I cannot compromise them. I cannot drop them. And even if nobody is listening to me, I can always go back to India. There's no harm for me. There's no loss for me. A loss will be for American people and the Western people. They will not get this highest knowledge. But I can drop my advocate. I can drop my advocate. I cannot drop my principles of four regulative principles. So this is how important Prabhupada gave this importance to these regulative principles. And similarly, we should also try to, as far as possible, to do justice to these principles and follow these principles in our life. These are very important principles. And if we really adhere to these principles in our day-to-day life, we definitely will see change in our behavior, change in our character, change in even our heart will get cleansed of the dirt that we have been accumulating for last so many births after births. So we ourselves can watch, can see the changes that has taken place in our life. And these are the basic things which we are supposed to do. A Goswami must be free from all these vices before he can dare sit on the Vyasasana. Prabhupada makes very strong statements actually here. And actually, I'm not supposed to sit here and tell according to Prabhupada, but since our elders, our seniors, they have told us to give class in whatever. Of course, Prabhupada always said that whatever you have learned from the right source, you should speak. He always encouraged his disciples to speak whatever they have learned from him or from his disciples. So it is not a uh, wrong thing to speak the philosophy, the subject matter that Prabhupada has given to us. But Prabhupada wants that unless and until you are spotless, unless and until you follow those four regulative principles, you have no right and speak sitting on the Vyasasana. That's what Prabhupada is making a very strong statement here. Of course, uh, in other words, you can call this as Klasasan, not Vyasasan. Vyasasan is something uh, on a higher platform, which a guru sits or the guru's disciples who have come in disciplic succession, they sit. And we are still, at least I am at the very primary stage, and I can call this as a Klasasan, a slight modification of Vyasasan. No one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasasana who is not spotless in character and who is not freed from the above mentioned vices. Now, these vices, these four regulative principles, these vices, what Prabhupada has just mentioned above, illicit connection with women, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts, these are not very simple to get rid from our life. It is not a just speak and then all these things will get rid of in your life. It's not like that. It will take a lot of efforts. It will take a lot of struggling. It will take a lot of association with the devotees who are following in those footsteps, who are following in those principles, that those who are following those principles in toto. They are not compromising anything in these principles. If we can get the association of those devotees, then it will be easier for us to get rid of all these uh, uh, anarthas, all those uh, bad habits that we have accumulated in our life. So this is a Kali Yuga, and so these rishis are requesting Suta Goswami to advise them, to give them the path where they can progress in spiritual life. Not only they are only asking for, not for them, but the people, the fallen souls who are there in the Kali Yuga for generations to come. Suta Goswami was talking about more than 500, 6,000, 5,000 years back, 6,000 years back. But those same guidelines, the same principles which they had discussed in Naimisharan, they are still uh, practical, they are still to be followed here in Kali Yuga, and even after this after these years of Kali Yuga passes away, it will go on for so many lakhs of years. So it is not a meant for those rishis, but they are asking on behalf of the fallen souls, meant for fallen souls of Kali Yuga. And of course, the 6 topics were discussed that will come in further in discussion, not today's discussion. Some other time we can discuss those topics. 6 topics were discussed between the rishis of Naimisharanya and Suta Goswami. And this discussion should be uh, done with a person who is qualified. So they thought that Suta Goswami is the only person today, that time, available to us, who is qualified in all senses, in all respects, who can guide us, So they were requesting Suta Goswami. So here uh, uh, the saintly people, rishis, they are saying, Tvaya khalu puranani se itihasani chanagha. Anagha means, Prabhupada says, anagha means who is spotless. Here it is given, no? Anagha, freed from all vices. Uh, he has a spotless character. Freed from all vices means his character is spotless. There are no spots in his life where he's accused of doing some uh, sinful activities. So he's spotless, anagha. Agha means sinful character, and anagha means without any uh, sinful activity, or a character which is spotless. There are no spots in his character. Not only that, Puranani, Puranani is very important here, how it Prabhupada translates, because see, basic things here. Uh, when Prabhupada was giving this knowledge to the Western people, he had to translate from Sanskrit to English language, which is known to the Western people all over, so that Prabhupada can preach to those people. So English language was the only language that can be used to preach the principles of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam to the Western people. So he had to translate it. So Prabhupada is so expert, he doesn't translate, because in today, even today, in India, a land of Vedic culture, people translate Puranas and Itihasas as mythology. And what is mythology? Myth. The mythology word comes from myth. Myth means a belief, or you can say just a imagination. Many times we come up across learned people also translating Mahabharata or Ramayana or other Vedic scriptures, and they say it is mythology. Are Baba, how can you say it is mythology? We have seen the place where Krishna was born. We have seen, we have seen all the places where he performed his pastimes. We can see them even today. We can see the culture of that place, the 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 lifestyle of those people even today. How can you say it is a mythology? It is not a mythology, it is a history. It is so Prabhupada translate is Itihasas along with the histories and Puranas. Puranas is, see how he translates. It's not mythology. Puranas is not mythology. Puranas, Puranani, the supplements to the Vedas with illustrative narrations. So see how Prabhupada, how fortunate we are. How fortunate we are connected to such a organization where everything is very, very clear. There is no place for doubt. So it is, only thing is that we should understand the value of our connection with Prabhupada. Say, I was just thinking that we are connected to such a high level organization. Not only that, we are connected to Krishna through Prabhupada and through Parampara. Krishna, who is the eternal father of all living beings, and Radharani, the eternal mother of all living beings. So how fortunate we are. So these are the things which can come to us only through bona fide spiritual masters. We cannot accept. That's why sages of Naimisharanya, They are telling Suta Goswami about his qualification, why he should be sitting there and guiding them. So they are telling uh, Suta Goswami about the qualification that he is possessing. They are saying that he knows about the Itihasas, he knows about the Puranas, he has inculcated all those principles of Puranas, the Shastras, Dharma Shastras, here it is mentioned, no? Dharma Shastras, scriptures giving right direction to progressing life. See how Prabhupada writes here. It's not a jugglery of just a jugglery of words. It's very important to understand what Prabhupada writes here. Scriptures giving right direction. Now these Dharma Shastras are giving direction to our life. Where were we before connecting to ISKCON? Where was our direction going? Where was the direction which we were following in our life? We ourselves can find out. Nobody else can pinpoint to us. We are ourselves know where we were going and where are we now. I'm not saying that we are on a very high elevated platform, but at least we are on the path. Someday, somehow, with the help of the Vaishnavas and the Prabhupada's disciples, we will be shown the ultimate goal of our life. So we are also connected to this path. So Prabhupada translates here, scriptures giving the right direction to progressive life. It is not a static life. We are not like Jiva is not like we have got a free will. Ours is progressive. We are not static here. We are not just a robot here. We are not like we are human beings. We have our own free will, and we have to make the right decision based on the Shastras, Dharma Shastras, which a bona fide spiritual master will tell us how to do that. So the sages of Naimisharanya are explaining the qualification of Suta Goswami because he knows the Shastras, he knows the histories, and he knows the uh, uh, Puranas. So Suta Goswami knows every aspect of religion, and he is the right person to guide. Not only that, there are two very important words here. Akhyatani, Akhyatani and Adhitani. Adhitani means, Adhitani, well read. Now, Adhitani means, Prabhupada writes here, well read. It is not just reading. Prabhupada writes here, no? Writes here, reading is very important to hear and explain them. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. Reading is important, no doubt about it. Prabhupada always advocated us to read his books very sincerely and seriously. But more than that, reading, understanding them, and speaking about them is important. So these two words, Adhitani, means reading, not just superficial reading, but reading with understanding and putting those principles in our life, following those principles in our life. So the rishis from Naimisharanya tell Suta Goswami that you are the right person because you know the scriptures well, you know the Ityasas, you know the Puranas, you know the Dharma Shastras, and you have read them properly, you have put them in practice in your life, and you have also spoken them to other people also. Not only that we should understand and we should read and we should understand and put them in our life and follow them in our life, but Prabhupada always advocated that we should speak them. We should preach these principles to other people in our society so that they also get benefit. So it is the qualification of Suta Goswami is that he is a anagha. He follows all the four regulatory principles. He he has read the Dharma Shastras, he has read histories, the Ityasas, the Puranas, and he is the right person to sit on the Vyasasan and discuss this matter, discuss these six topics which will come later in Bhagavatam, and discuss this for what? For the benefit of the people who are all fallen in Kali Yuga. The ultimate necessity of discussing this matter is to benefit the fallen souls which are there in Kali Yuga now and which will come later in Kali Yuga for thousands and lakhs of years to come. So these subjects are very important. So they are trying to uh, telling Suta Goswami that you are the only right qualified person to sit and guide us in this matter of religion. There is one very important word which Prabhupada writes in here in his purport. He writes, one, to hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. See, Aditani and Akhyani. Akhyatani. Akhyatani means speaking about these principles, and Aditani means reading about them and putting them in our life. So Prabhupada writes here, one to hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Assimilation, this word is very important. Assimilation means, like for example, when we eat our food, we get nutrition. How it is done? It is a process. We eat, there is a digestive process, and then it is assimilated. Assimilation means the whole, the essence of that food, the nutrition of that food is assimilated throughout the body of that person who is eating that food. So you can feel and you can also see the changes that has occurred by eating that food. By eating that food, your body has become healthy. Your body is showing the symptoms of a healthy person. The skin is shining. The eyes are shining. You can speak, you can hear, you can talk, you can walk. So many things are happening because the food that you have eaten has assimilated in your body. Otherwise, if there is no assimilation, there are so many incidences. There are many who cannot assimilate. There are certain diseases. There are certain medical terms where we use that particular person cannot assimilate, cannot digest that food, and that nutrition doesn't go to his body. He doesn't get those nutrients, those vitamins and protein and all those things cannot be assimilated in his body. So there are certain conditions in a human being, some human being, very rare, where he cannot assimilate. So this is very important. when we read Shastras, when we read Ityasas, when we read Puranas, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, those principles are to be assimilated. Like, for example, a small child is, I hope I'm not taking more time, I'll finish within another 5 minutes. A child, when he's a small child, he's given some toys, and then he develops a connection, what you call it, a very intimate connection with those toys. And sometimes that child uh, even takes those toys wherever he goes. So the connection is very intimate. But when that same child grows, when he grows, he automatically, nobody tells him to leave those toys. He automatically leaves those toys as he grows. As he grows, now he's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years old, he has nothing to do with those toys when he used to use them at the age of 6 months and 1 year. Those toys have all automatically gone out of his house. It is, he has left it. Nobody has told him like to do that. It is automatic. It is automatic. Similarly, those food which you have eaten, it is automatically done. It is automatically assimilated. If that child doesn't leave those toys and has the same intimate connection with those toys, even at the age of 20 and 25, that will say that the child has not grown. Similarly, when we read this Bhagavatam, we read Bhagavad Gita, and if we have not grown, we have not given up our old habits, if we have not given up our old attachment to material things, if we have not given up the old lifestyle, and we have not adopted the lifestyle which has been prescribed here in Bhagavatam, then we will be called as, Are Baba, you have grown bodily, but you have not grown spiritually. There is no growth. There is no growth spiritually. If we read all these things, there are scholars here. We have seen in society, 99% of the scholars who say that they have read Bhagavatam, they have read Bhagavad Gita, they know everything. They have not grown. They only have jugglery of words. But Prabhupada has not given us all that thing. He has given us the pure knowledge and also the process where we can grow spiritually. So Prabhupada advises us, read these scriptures, read this Bhagavatam, read this Bhagavad Gita, which I have given to you. I have given you everything in my books. There is nothing that I have not given you and which you will have to take from outside. Everything is available in my books, he said. Read my books, understand them, put them in practice in your life, and go back home, back to Godhead, and never come back to this material world. That's what Prabhupada has told us. So it is very important that we should grow spiritually. Spiritual growth will come only when we read these books, when we give up our old habits and put all these principles uh, given in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other scriptures in our life. And not only that, very important thing is that we should speak about them. Wherever we get time, whenever we get time, wherever we are, we should try to preach these principles to other people. So thank you very much. I think I've taken a lot of time, almost 9:05. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If anyone wants to chastise me, I must have made so many mistakes. So please excuse me. I will try to improve myself I will try to read Bhagavatam. I am still at the very primary stage. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If anybody wants to add something, please go ahead. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Paidungetru. Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I never knew that you were here.
I came towards the end, but you were speaking really well.
Acha, Prabhuji. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much.
I only heard from you, Prabhuji, and whatever I heard from other devotees, and I am making my humble beginning, Prabhuji. So it is not that I was also struggling with this. Bhagavatam yesterday I was reading.